Welcome. Music still playing. Welcome to Another Option. This isn't our first show in a while because we had a little hiatus for the summer. And so now we're doing our first show. And what we're doing on this first show, we're doing high blood pressure. Because what happened in those 2 months that we're off, I was constantly running into people that were on high blood pressure medicine. And I just wondered, it was like getting a little out of hand in the sense of people who were not taking care of themselves. You see, first of all, they go to the doctor's office, and for whatever reason, they tell them their blood pressure's too high, and then the next minute, you know, they're on blood pressure medicine. And the problem with that is, do they really understand what blood pressure is? So what I always, if you go to the doctor, my recommendation is you go home and you look it up. Exactly what he's telling you you have and what you should do. So by then you have your own options to know how you're going to treat yourself. Because mainly blood pressure is just a measure of the blood, the pressure of the blood going through the vessels, the blood vessels, and the heart is pumping the blood throughout the body. When you have high blood pressure, it's a lot harder. They call it the silent killer because nobody seems to know what causes it. But I'm going to tell you today what causes it. But normally, the first thing is that when they give you your blood pressure, they put the cuff around you, pump it up, and they give you two readings. They give you a top reading and they give you a bottom reading. I don't want to go into medical terms, just it's very simple. Top reading, bottom reading. The top reading for normal blood is between 100 and 140. For the bottom reading, it's 60 to 90. Normally, a normal is less than 120 over 80. If you're into hypertension, which is another name for high blood pressure, it's 120 through all the way to 139 over 80 to 89. Now, if you have stage 1 high blood pressure, it's 140 to 159 over 90 to 99. Now, if you have stage 2, it's 160 above and 90 and above. So basically, that's your blood pressures. There's two types. There's the primary, which has no known cause, or the secondaries, which have caused by underlying conditions. But what they do is give you drugs. They just give you blood pressure medicine, and the object of the blood pressure medicine is to reduce the person's blood pressure to normal or near normal and keep it like that for 24 hours, 365 days a year, and for the rest of your life. And that's just too much. I've mentioned on other shows, but before I mention that, I just want to tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a graduate of the Southwest Acupuncture, that's where I first went. I'm a graduate of the where I first went to. The International Institute of Chinese Medicine in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and also I attended and graduated from the Institute of Chinese Herbology, the resident program in Berkeley, California. So I've been doing this for about 20 years now, and it's been fun. My father, as I mentioned, is in a nursing home. So I was visiting him the other day, and one of the nurses was trying to give one of the patients, one of the residents, their blood pressure medicine. And the lady says, I don't want to take it. I don't want to take it. And the lady told him, you have to take it. You're going to get a stroke if you don't take it. I don't know if that's stretching it a little bit too much. And so the lady says, why don't you take it? And the lady says, I don't have to take it because I don't have high blood pressure. And I said to myself, lady, if you didn't want to take it, you should have not taken it 30 years ago. Because once they get you on it, it's hard to get off. And the problem is, even with, I have to tell people if they take herbs, they have to wean themselves off. They just can't take herbs and automatically drop their medication, which is kind of odd because if you watch some gastro bypass shows, once the people lose the weight, they just drop taking blood pressure medicine and diabetes. Okay, so now we know the object of why people take the prescription drugs. Now, what is the cause of high blood pressure? The cause of high blood pressure is smoking, alcohol, which is drinking too much, overweight, obesity, not exercising, being a couch potato, overworking, whatever you're doing, you overwork. But the stress is the number one culprit of everything. Because what happens is that people are so stressed out now. They're stressed out because of relationships. They're just a universal disconnect. So people are just not connected to themselves. They're not connected to other people, and they're just stressed out. People are stressed out of the work that they do. People are stressed out where they live. People are stressed out about their jobs. People are stressed out because they don't have a job. It's just people are just so stressed out these days, and there's no reason to be that. Because what happens when people are stressed out, they tend to smoke. They tend to go to alcohol. They tend to go to drugs. And they tend to overeat because this is somehow they're getting their, that's their therapy, their calm and their comfort. But the problem is you have to do a better job of how you handle your stress. Because what happens is, even with the overeating, I don't know if this is true or not, but they're saying that when you measure your waist, for men, if they're over 40 inches going around, they're at high risk for high blood pressure. And women, it's 35. So, but see, a lot of people have this stomach distension and stuff like that, but it's just kind of interesting if that's a telltale sign. So a person can get a better idea if they're a candidate for high blood pressure. And anxiety is another one, because people are they're stressed, and plus they have high anxiety. And like the old Mel Brooks movie. But the problem is they put them on antidepressants. Because I was just recently at a seminar, and the person says, how many people are on how many people are on antidepressants? And some people raise their hand. How many people are on high blood pressure medicine? People raise their hands. But for me, I'm not on anything, so I'm just sitting there. But then if you find out that antidepressant drugs also increases the blood pressure. So you're trying to alleviate something, but it's also contributing. Because that's the problem with medication. That's the problem with prescription medicine, because if it's not working, you go to your doctor and you tell them, well, this is not working because I'm getting this sort of side effect. They give you another medicine to counteract that side effect. And then if you get another one, they give you another one. Before you know it, you're taking 4 different medications. And you shouldn't be taking any at all. But again, that's your choice to do. Ways to alleviate your stress is to read. Read a book. Listen to music. You got to exercise. Because that's the thing, is people do not exercise. Even just merely walking around your block is good enough. It's going to get you it's going to make you to realize that there is a magic. Because lots of people, when they're stressed out, they don't realize the magic of living. And once you realize that, your blood pressure just goes straight down. Because what happens, as I was saying about the overweight or obesity, if you ever see that program, The 600-Pound Life, I watch it because I'm just really concerned about people getting that obese. And it always comes down to some sort of stress in their life is causing it. And the doctor always recommends a therapist. But the problem with that is, see, as I said before, was they lose the weight and they just stop taking the blood pressure medicine. But yet, people were on blood pressure medicine for 30 to 40 years. My father is an excellent candidate. I can't, and also there's other people in the nursing home. They've just been on it for years and years and years. But see, as I said before, stress is such a prevalent thing that we have. But what we need to do is to, for most people, they need to find a spiritual path. They need to just get on something to connect them, to get relief for them, because you just can't do it by yourself. And you don't want to do it on antidepressants. But I'm going to have to do a show about opiates, because that's going out of control now, too. It's unbelievable. How many people are overdosing now? For what? Because they want pain. Now, where is that pain? Is it physical pain or is it emotional pain? See, that's when you have to differentiate between the two. Because I treated a lady years ago, and that's what it was. She was having so much pain, but after talking to her, the pain was she didn't have a good relationship with her children. So she was getting the pain of that. And so once we figured that out, she got better, because now we weren't just treating something physical. See, now with stress, how does it affect your organs? And this is from the Chinese perspective, because high blood pressure is a warning sign that a person needs to change their lifestyle. And that's what it is. You got high blood pressure, there's something you're not doing in your life. That either you're doing too much of the wrong thing and you need to correct it. And I feel that's in mostly any illness. High blood pressure is not a disease. It's just it's not a disease. It's just an informality in the body, but it's not a disease. Nobody, oh, I got a disease. I got high blood pressure. How TCM, which is traditional Chinese medicine, treats the symptoms of a high blood pressure by a person comes in, they have headaches, stiff necks, or dizziness. Other related symptoms are irritability, excess body heat, red eyes and face, insomnia, high-pitched ringing in one or both ears. That's the liver. That's liver qi stagnation. When I first started, I was treating a lot of musicians, and that was their big thing, was ringing in their ears. And I had to ask them a question, was it high pitch or low pitch? High pitch is liver, low pitch is kidneys. And you had just work on trying to balance out those organs, and they got better. What also, the thing with the liver, what it's supposed to do is get the flow of qi throughout the body. And the flow of the qi is what is like electricity in our bodies. It's somewhat of a theory to look at it, but it's just, we have like, our bodies is like a machine. And we have to have, a car has gas, we have qi. And what the liver does is it's the main organ that dictates how all the organs work. And with stress, there's 3 organs that are really affected. It's the liver, which I just said, the heart, and the kidneys. So basically with the liver, it's mostly liver stagnation. You can just tell a person that's high blood pressure where they're so mad, they get red in the face, they're just ready to just go at somebody. And if they measure their blood pressure, it'll be out the roof. Because again, that's where they are. In excess body heat, it goes right to the head, right to the head. But basically, if you smooth out the liver, it would get better. And with the heart is shortness of breath, heart palpitations. Heart palpitations, if you don't know what that means, is you can feel your heart beating. Chest tightness, fatigue. In Chinese medicine, ordinarily that would just be a blood deficiency. Because those are all signs of a blood deficiency. So what you have right now, you have a liver that's overly stagnant. And you got a heart that has blood deficiency. It's not that it's losing blood. It's just that there's no energy to the blood. And the last thing is the kidneys. And the kidneys, the signs before, as I say, and I imagine this is what people are saying, they're going and saying, I got frequent urination, especially at night. I'm getting up 3-4 times a night. My swollen legs and feet, that's very common with high blood pressure. Lower back pain, dry mouth, dry eyes, and as I said before, a low ringing in the ear. And the problem is, when a person comes in, they say, look, my feet are swollen, they automatically give them a water pill. And mostly high blood pressure medicine is diuretics anyway. So the person is constantly going to the bathroom, constantly going. And it's because what's happening here, the kidneys are not moving the water because they're impacted by the liver because there's an imbalance. And so what you do is you work on the liver and you work on the kidneys because they will be simultaneously working on each other. And so that's how stress affects our bodies. And basically, this is how we have to de-stress ourselves because it gives, by de-stressing ourselves, it's going to normalize your blood pressure. But basically, the best thing to do, as I said before, and which we're going to do in the third half of the show, we're going to be talking about actual herbs that you can take. But the foods that you could use, I highly recommend that a person has a whole grain diet. No white rice, but use whole grains or brown rice. You have to eat leafy green vegetables like kale, collard greens, spinach. I'm surprised that frozen vegetables are okay. I thought that you must always eat fresh vegetables, but frozen are good. Canned is not good because one of the things of high blood pressure is sodium, too much salt. And canned vegetables, they often add more salt to them. Berries are good, raspberries, strawberries, red beets, oatmeal, bananas, salmon, unsalted seeds like sunflowers, pumpkin, garlic, dark chocolate, pistachio, and olive oil. See, again, these things that if you eat and incorporate them in your everyday diet will help your blood pressure. But the problem that we have is people still going to fast foods. I have nothing against fast food as long as you go once or twice a week because the salt is like too much. And that's where people tend to gain their weight is from fast foods. And fast foods and the liver being angry that they're eating the fast food. Because what happens is, well, most people are glad to eat it because, again, a lot of homeless people out there, and any food is better than no food. But also, before I go on, I wanted to dedicate this show to the people in Florida and Houston because of all the floods. I wanted to dedicate that. They're going to come out of this good. And also, as I know, I wanted to dedicate this to Walter Becker, one of the Steely Dan guys, co-founder. He passed away, 69. That's a shame, but I like Steely Dan. It was good. Got a new album out too called Circus something or other. So basically, the keys to, as I said before, is de-stress yourself so you don't resort to smoking, alcohol, becoming an alcoholic, overeating, and doing drugs. See, it's one thing if you're moderately smoking, moderately doing alcohol, and just eating enough food and hopefully not doing drugs, recreational, I guess. But the problem is that you just can't do it to the extreme. You can't smoke yourself to death. I know guys, I used to know you smoke 5 packs a day. That's amazing. How much can you take into? He's no longer here, by the way. He's no longer here. And alcoholism, that's killing your liver completely. And overeating, that's killing your spleen, liver, everything. But the thing is that, as I said before, you can stop all this just by de-stressing yourself. Because again, if this is the cause of high blood pressure, you don't need medication for that. But see, the problem that we have is that people would rather take a pill than actually take responsibility for their health. So that's all it is. Change your lifestyle. As I said before, it's a warning sign that something in a person's lifestyle has to be changed. And it's just a matter of, do you want to change your lifestyle? That's all it is. But see, on this program, we call it another option. And we try to instill into people that there are other options than what they are doing. And this is just one of many. But the problem is most people don't want to hear it. Because the revolution, as I said before, is being televised. See, the problem is that people, they don't remember back in the day where people took herbs. All they remember, their history of back in the day now is people taking prescription drugs. So they don't know that, they hear about it. Oh, this, because back in the day, using that terminology, people were more conscious about their health. They stopped being conscious about it. People were conscious, they were very particular what they ate. That's how the organic movement started. They were very questioning pesticides. But we don't question anymore, even though there's stores that say they're organic. But it's a lot different now because people, they just give me those pills. As I said, I did a show, actually I read an article about fatty livers, which I've never heard of before. And the whole thing's telling, it was all about eating a poor diet and it's really affecting the fat in the liver. And the doctor is telling these patients, you need to exercise, change your diet. And all that they replied was there a pill I could take? That's not health, people. That's not health at all. Another thing is stress. I just happened to think of it. Another stress is people coming into negativity. When a person who's negative and you got to deal with them, people sometimes stress out about that too. And I'm finally glad that they pulled that movie Detroit, because it's amazing that was throwing gas on a fire that's burning in this country now, of the disconnect. I thought we were, I try not to talk about this, but it's just, again, it's stressing people out about all these police officers that are killing people and getting acquitted. And if you see in the movie Detroit, you would see what I'm talking about. And so basically, that's how, from a Chinese medicine point of view, how we will deal with high blood pressure. But the key is you can do it yourself. You can very much do it yourself without the help of pharmaceuticals. But the problem is the pharmaceutical companies want you to take pharmaceuticals. I highly recommend the movie. I don't try to recommend them because you have to see it for yourself. But I highly recommend a movie called What About Health? What About Health? And it explains all about the meat industry and why you shouldn't eat meat. But the main thing was, at the end of the film, what it showed was the pharmaceutical companies control everything. So they want you to get sick. The food is bad, you're constantly sick, you're constantly on medication. It's just a never-ending cycle. And the reason I was so amazed at the film was they showed three people at the beginning of the film who had these illnesses. One guy was diabetic, another woman couldn't walk. I can't think of what the last woman was. But what happened by the end of the film, by them changing their diet, this lady could only walk 10 feet without having to sit down. The director of the film, they're walking around the block. And that was amazing. Because again, she changed her life by changing her diet. Because medicine is food, food is medicine. And that's what it comes down to being. But also, people, you got to be happy too. But we'll explain that in the closing part of the show. Because again, what you do in life is body, mind, and spirit. So we're going to be going very shortly to a break, but just use that as food for thought. Just think about, what can I do for my own self that I don't have to take medication? And the first thing is, change your diet. Or better yet, change your way of thinking. Because lots of times people are bored with their jobs, bored with their live, bored with their relationships. But what they really need to do is change their way. They're bored with the way they're thinking. So if you change your way of thinking, everything's going to be looking a lot sunnier. And that's what we need. You need a little sunshine. And that blood pressure will go right down. Before you know it, you'll be saying, your blood pressure is 120/80. And remember that, people, when you go to the doctor, when he does your blood pressure, listen to it, and matter of fact, write it down, just to make sure you heard it correctly. And also, what if you're normal and you're still taking pills? I'm talking about when you initially go, because once they get you on it, they got you. But say if you go there not knowing what the ratios are for blood pressure, and you have good blood pressure, and they tell you don't, and you're on medication. Because lots of times you go to the doctor, and you're freaking out because you don't know what's going to happen, so your blood pressure goes up, and then once you go home, it goes back down, and before you know it, you're taking blood pressure medicine for 20 years. So we're going to go to a break now, and we're going to second half of the second half or third half of the show, we're going to be doing about the herbs. And I'll see you when we get back. Hello, welcome back to the third half of the show. And what we're going to talk today is about the actual herbs that I would prescribe to people with high blood pressure. There's a lot more than this, but these are the basic 7 I would prescribe. Once again, people, when you take herbs, there's 3 ways you can take them. You can take them as powder. You can take, they're granulated, they freeze dry the herb formula, and it's powder. You can take them in pills, or you can take them in teas. What I do in my clinic, we do teas. We don't do patent medicine. We don't do that at all. But sometimes I recommend it, depending on what a person needs. Not so much needs, but a lot of people, they don't drink herbs. They won't drink them. So, but the people who drink them, they get better. And it's just a matter of used to getting to drink it because it's something we ordinarily don't do. But this is what they've been doing for 5,000 years in China. In America, they've been doing it for years. When the slaves came over from Africa, they were doing herbs. When the people come up from Central America, they do herbs. People in Alaska, who are part of the United States, American Indians, they do herbs. So there's an herb tradition in every culture that we have. So it's just a matter of sometimes of getting a hold of that culture. And that's where you got to talk to grandma, talk to grandpa, right, if they're still alive, or grand aunt, grand uncle, or it's just some elder who can help you light your path to your own health, herbal health. And it's amazing because I remember growing up always hearing about herbs in the sense that they were medicinal, but we never did it. Like, if we're sick, if you remember back before antibiotics, most people did castor oil, which was horrible to take, but it did make you feel better. But see, again, those home remedies have always been around until the advent of prescription medicine. I don't mean to keep harping on it, but the reason I bring it up is because I just see the tragedy of people being locked in bond by pharmaceuticals, and they're making big money, making millions and millions of dollars. Okay, the first herb we're going to do tonight is an herb called Daegun Pea Lithium Bark. There's another herb called Gujiza, which is lithium fruit, which is used an awful lot. But this is the bark. And once again, it lowers the blood pressure, which is why we have it up here. There we go. Get a picture of that. Okay. They're going right into it. These are barks of a tree. And so what this does, it lowers the blood pressure while we're using it. And also it lowers the blood sugar, because I was giving a woman with diabetes this. And also lowers the cholesterol. It lowers the body temperature, which is internal heat. It's antibiotic, and as I said before, it does for diabetes and also night sweats. Again, night sweats is just heat in the body. Once again, the key things are it lowers the blood pressure, because that's what we're talking about today. But the other thing is that it lowers the blood sugar and it lowers the cholesterol, because a lot of cholesterol is leading to the blood pressure, because now the blood is getting too thick and these herbs dilate the veins so they open up more. This is the first herb. I use this a lot because I've been treating people with high blood pressure lately. But I combine it, I gotta put it back, excuse me. Okay, that's the first one, that's lithium bark. That's a nice smell to it, too. The next one is called Duzon Ikomian bark. And this one actually looks like a bark tail. When I look at it, I always think about an elephant skin. Let me see if I can put it sideways to be better. Okay, how's that? It does look like a little bit like an elephant skin, a little bit, if you stretch your imagination. Thank you. Okay, what this one does is replenishes the vital function of the liver and the kidneys. When we're talking about the liver, the kidney, and the heart, it strengthens the bones and the muscles. It lowers the blood pressure and also lowers the cholesterol. This herb is also used lots of time in arthritis. I use it in arthritis. Gotta get some more labels there. And so I would use this one. The only problem, I didn't mention this before when I was talking about people taking water pills. What I try to do for mostly people over 50 and above, I try to not give them diuretics, herbs that have diuretic properties, because people tend to be more sensitive as they age. Maybe a young boy, a young woman could take diuretics and won't even bother them. I'm saying not directly taking diuretics. Say an herb that one of the things that tonifies the blood or tonifies the chi, then way down at the bottom, it has a diuretic effect. They might not be affected, but people older, they get affected very easily. Because my wife will make a formula and she's urinating a lot, she'll call me up and say, did you put any diuretics in it? And I would have to go through every herb to see whether they had any diuretics in it, diuretic properties. And same thing with me, I'm so sensitive to diuretics. But see, you can get around it because there's so many herbs that are not diuretics. And the reason for the diuretics that they give anyway is to move the water. That's when people get the edema, they're trying to move the water. Okay. But this one here, as I said before, is used in arthritis, but here we're using it for lowering the blood pressure. It's hypertension, anti-hypertension. And it's used a lot. It's used a lot, and it has a funny texture to it. Because it's like you got to really pull it, because it's the bark of a tree. That's amazing to me about herbs. It's just you're using barks, branches, seeds, leaves, flowers, and it's all natural. And I'm lucky enough because it comes from China. I get it through a place in Berkeley, California. Nice people. It's called Spring Wind. Very nice people there. Okay. The next herb we're going to do is an herb called Guten, Cambria. This one here, I don't know if the camera's going to be able to pick it up. It looks like its branches with these little hooks to it. Let's see if I can get one up. Let's see. Here's one. I don't know if the camera can get that. It's like, you'll see there's one sticking up right here. See it? Where's my hand? Where's my hand? Right there. It's sticking up. See, what it does is clears heat in the liver. It's good for headaches, vertigo. It's a sedative. It's for wind in the liver channel. It stops spasms. You know, but what happened, it helps people with seizures. It can help them. See, as you notice, I'm reading is the liver and the heart. It calms the internal wind and relieves spasms. Because a lot with vertigo, I have no success with vertigo. I treated a guy years ago. When he first did the herbs, he was amazed. And it just wore off. I don't know what happened, because I was doing acupuncture on him too. It just, he was doing good, and the family thought that he could progress differently. Again, that's their choice. He was an older guy. And I don't know, he since passed away. So, but he was a nice guy, very nice guy. And he was, the only thing is, with herbs, if you get herbs, you have to, once you open them, you have to refrigerate it. This guy didn't. He just left them on the table. So anytime he opened it, you know, the odd smelling herbs came out. And I tell him, no, you got to put it in the refrigerator. Okay, the next herb we're going to do is an herb called shinja, which is hornthorn fruit. A lot of people have probably heard of this one. But hornthorn fruit, I use it a lot in a lot of formulas because what I see people having, one of the things about overeating, Um, a lot of overeating. I would use this because what people have, especially people on medication, they get food stagnation right in their abdominal. It's just the food doesn't move, and that's where you get the bloating, you get the belly fat. It's just what it is that the food is being stagnated. So what this does is lowers the blood pressure. Again, that's what we're trying. Increases the blood flow to the heart. Because that's the whole thing about high blood pressure, is that the blood's got to flow more easily. It lowers the cholesterol. It improves digestion. It eliminates the stagnation of fatty foods. It's antibacterial, and it's for abdominal fullness. As I said before, a lot of people have food stagnation. So what I was doing for a while, and I still do it, depending on the formula, I would throw a couple of herbs in to see if we could move the food stagnation. You get better digestion of the foods. But once again, you have to change your diet. Because if you're eating foods that are giving you food stagnation, you need to change your diet because your food has to go through you. You have to get your nutrients out of your food, but they got to be eliminated. Because lots of times, people tend to get heat and they get constipation. And that's not good. But this herb here, heartthorn, is good. It's good for the heart, and it's definitely good for lowering the blood pressure and for cholesterol. There's a lot of herbs that are antibacterial and a lot of herbs that are anti-cholesterol. Because what is the key to life other than oxygen is good blood. And that's where a lot of these high blood pressure, a lot of cancers, all these things is just bad blood, polluted blood. And all you need to do is purify your blood. And you do it from eating a good diet, exercising, and hopefully one day we'll have clean air. And that will be a plus. When you don't have to hear what's the what's the smog level. But that's our industrial society. I can't imagine in China, I keep reading about this, so much fog in China. How do the herbs grow then? I hope it's way, way far away from the city, hopefully. Okay, the next herb we're going to do is an herb called Tiama gastrodia. Let's get up there, gastrodia. Let me just move these back. Okay, gastrodia, it lowers the blood pressure again, and it slows down the heartbeat. Okay, look at that. It increases the blood flow and reduces the pressure in the brain. It's a sedative. It helps people to sleep. And it's good for vertigo and relieves convulsions. Once again, anything that affects the head, what they call an internal wind, this is one of the herbs that will help that. But I use this a lot. Again, people I'm working on with high blood pressure, and fortunate enough, they're not on medication. Because if they were on medication, they took themselves off. Which I think is okay. You know, I didn't tell them, hey, stop taking herbs. They realized that they didn't like the feeling of being on it. And a lot of people, they just ignore that. But one woman in particular didn't like the way she felt while she was on blood pressure medicine. And she stopped taking it. And she's taking herbs, and hopefully her blood pressure is getting better. It is getting better, I should say. Hopefully, it is getting better. But the thing is, too, stress level. She has to work on stress level. But once she gets that, she's going to be, but she's the person, not he or she, the person is really doing well. So you might be thinking, wow, how can I take herbs when I'm on medication? If you take herbs while you're on medication, there's no side effects. But if you tell your doctor, I'm going to take Chinese herbs, the first thing they're going to tell you is absolutely don't do it. They don't get a cut out of that. Okay, the next one we're going to do is an herb called Yin Yang Ho, Epiphymedia. This one is they call it, the other name for this herb is horny goat weed. This herb I would use when I work on guys who are impotent. And this is one of the herbs. But it's also good for lowering the blood pressure. It's called, replenishes the kidney yang, and that's where impotence comes from. It's a weak kidney yang. It's a vital function. It strengthens the bones and the muscles. It lowers the blood pressure, of course, increases the blood flow. You got to increase the blood flow because that will reduce the pressure. It lowers the blood sugar. It's antibacterial. It's for impotence and chronic bronchitis. It increases the vital capacity of the lungs. So again, it opens things. But this is a good herb. I use it a lot. But I like the name horny goat weed. And it's good because it helps those guys and help women too. So I use it for men and women. I just don't use it for men only. But it's a good herb, and it's like leaves. It's just a bunch of leaves. It's amazing on God, on the Creator who made all this stuff. It's amazing. And they're still finding stuff in the Amazon rainforest. Hope they don't cut it all down, but they're finding cures for everything there. And the last herb, and not the least important, because this herb here, I don't have a label on it, because I just put it in a new jar. This herb is called Polygona. It's a root, as you can see. And what this herb does is for pent-up emotions. It's a sedative, it's antibacterial, it lowers the blood pressure, it's for insomnia and forgetfulness. You know, when I was in herb school and we went over this herb, even when I was in acupuncture school, I said, isn't that interesting? They got an herb for pent-up emotions, but there's a group of them. They're called, what is the term? But they're calming the spirit and calming the shin. And this is one of the herbs. Because we need, as again, stress and things like you need to calm your shin. Shin is your overall feeling. And this herb, when I started doing herbs, I would put, like, people would come in that were stressed out or whatever. I would put this in their formula. But the more I practiced, I was putting it in everybody's formula. Because everybody tend to have pent-up emotions. So I put in everybody's. And it's good because, again, people tend to relax more. They tend to be a little bit more happier. They tend to see the bright side of life, because we need to see that. But these are the herbs that are good. There's some more. There's about maybe 10, 15 more. But I just brought these because these are the main ones I would use. There's some more I would use. I would use a combination just in case, in the case of we were talking about the heart and had a blood deficiency, I would use some blood deficient herbs to add on to this to help strengthen the blood. Because that's basically, you want the blood to flow smoothly, you want less pressure and get more blood to our system. Because that's a lot of problems, like arthritis, there's not enough blood getting to the bones, the muscles, because everything is dictated about how our blood is. As I keep harping on, you want to be healthy, clean your blood. And it's as simple as that. And these are the herbs. So we're winding down to the end of the show. And I hope that you watch more shows. And hopefully these shows will be on YouTube. I just want people to come out and just realize that you can help yourself. It's not something that I can do by myself, in the sense that I'm the only one that can do it. I highly recommend You go on the World Wide Web and just see what your options are. Don't let them tell you your options are chemotherapy or surgery. There's more. And those are your last options. In the case of high blood pressure, if they want to tell you the only way you can take is taking high blood pressure pills and water pills, think about it first. Go home and get on the computer and look up, what are my options for high blood pressure? Grandpa, grandma, get your grandchildren to look it up for you. And better yet, ask them to show you how you can do it yourself. So you don't have to wait for them, you can just look it up yourself. Because that's part of it. That's the healing. The healing is knowing that you have some knowledge of how to help yourself. It's all about healing. As I said before, life is a spiritual thing. And you have to feel it. A lot of people don't feel it, but you have to feel it. Because once you feel it, you see the magic that happens. You run into somebody, some situation that it becomes amazing. You go, it's not by coincidence. It's because you're connected. And that's what we need to get more connected spiritually. I'm not telling you to go to church, but I'm saying you have to be spiritual before you go to church. Church doesn't make you spiritual. Church doesn't make you spiritual, but you can make the church spiritual. But the thing is that there's the Bible, there's the Quran, there's so much stuff out there so that you could really find out who you are. And I always highly recommend the book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, because that's what people are doing. They're sweating the small stuff, the big stuff, the in-between stuff. You don't have to. All you want to be in life is happy, wholesome, get a good meal, find happiness in your own self, because too many people look for it from other people. Look at inside yourself, and you'll be happier every day. I'm happy. See, the biggest gift that you have every day is waking up. Because if you didn't wake up, you wouldn't be here. So by just that alone, I'm happy. I'm jumping out of bed. I'm ready to do anything except fly. I'm talking about like Superman. But other than that, there's so many unlimited possibilities. And the first thing you got to do is stop being stressed out about it. See, sometimes that's the problem. We got too many options. Well, what option can do? Just do one option. A lady that I know, she had fibromyalgia. I've been trying to get her, talking a little bit about hers. But she got medical marijuana. And she got an oil, cannabis oil. And she put it on. And she didn't like it. And I said to myself, she tried it. She didn't like it, but at least she tried it. Lots of times people won't try anything. Oh, I don't want to do that. But you could be missing out. And that's what it's all about. This is one life. There's no dress rehearsal. So if you can figure, if somebody is going to, all I can do is make suggestions. And maybe you can follow up on them. I remember a long time ago, it wasn't long ago, but a guy I was treating, he met this girl, and she got sick. And he calls me up, he says, I met this girl, she got sick. Could you make an herb formula for me for her cold? See, he wasn't going to bring her flowers. He was going to bring her the herbal formula. Isn't that sweet? I think it's sweet. But that's just me. So we're getting to the end of the show. Next month, I'm undecided what we're going to talk about because we might be airing another of my sister show program called, Music to the Heart. Because a band that keeps saying they're going to play, they're getting closer. So we're near the end of the show. I just want to thank the crew, as always, the people in the booth, people behind the cameras, because if they weren't doing it, in the words of Frankie Crocker, for those who know him, if if I'm not on your, if I'm not on your television, then your television is not on. See, but we have it right here with the people. And I just want to thank everybody. We'll see you in a month. And until then, stay healthy. Wash your hands when you get home. All right? That'll be it. Take care. Bye now.